The president gave a speech to a group of Republicans last night where he said a bunch of insane stuff. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. It's been almost 2 weeks since Trump's attorney general released a memo in special counsel Robert Mueller's final report. The memo said Mueller had not established a conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia, but it also said Mueller had not exonerated Trump of obstruction of justice. So it was a mixed bag. But Trump has declared himself victorious and even threatened last week to keep the full report hidden from the public.
The president, the same president who over the past week has said he's for the full release of the report, wrote this. The problem is, no matter what the radical left Democrats get, no matter what we give them, it will never be enough. Just watch. They will harass and complain and resist the theme of their movement. So maybe we should just take our victory and say, no, we've got a country to run.
Okay, first of all, you don't have a country to run because you don't run it. You outsource it to your collection of weirdos while you go golfing with Kid Rock. By the way, I'm glad to see Kid Rock is respecting the flag by turning it into a fart catcher. In fact, despite proclaiming falsely that he's been exonerated, some officials, even within the White House, are anxious that the president is getting ahead of himself before the full report comes out. One senior White House official said there will be plenty of unfavorable things about the president in the full report, which we think will eventually come out. So let's not go overboard saying there's no wrongdoing. Let's move on. Yeah, of course there will be damning things in the report because we know publicly is damning. Mueller's report could literally just be a bunch of news articles about Trump stapled together with a cover sheet that says, "Remember this stuff?" And while Trump himself wants to declare victory and move on, he also seems stuck on his obsession with how Mueller's investigation got started. The answer to that is simple. The FBI was investigating his ties to Russia, and then he fired the guy in charge of that investigation, and because his Republican attorney general had recused himself, his Republican deputy attorney general appointed Robert Mueller. But Trump still wants someone to look into what he called, or what he tried to call, the origins of the report. But he had some trouble saying the word.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation, the beginnings of that investigation. You look at the origin of the investigation. The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges, how it started.
Yeah. Hey, Mom. Mom, I'm worried about Grandpa. Yeah. Yeah, oranges. Why does he keep saying oranges? Is he hungry, or is that always how he says it? Did you see Captain Marvel? It's pretty good for an oranges story. And if you're confused by this, you're not the only one. Even the White House can't figure out what Trump was trying to say because in their official transcript of his remarks, the transcript that is published on the White House website, they had to invent a new word. Here's how they spelled it. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges. I love imagining the stenographer who had to type that one out. Take a look at the, I don't know, just make something up. That looks like how a child would spell it on a piece of cardboard if they opened up their own fruit stand. I mean, seriously, though, is the White House going to do this every time Trump makes up a new word? I mean, what about this one?
God bless the United States.
Oh, no. Does that mean they're going to have to change the signs at the airports? And while Trump's hung up on the oranges of the investigation, his supporters like Fox News host Jeanine Pirro are hung up on a different obsession. They want everyone associated with the report to go to jail. Although I have to say, the way she ended her rant made it a lot less dramatic than she intended.
This should never happen again. And I can guarantee you it will happen again. Unless we make an example of the traitorous, treasonous group that accused Donald Trump of being an agent of the Russian government. These arrogant, lying, condescending, leaking haters of you and me and the America that doesn't have power are going to do it again unless we stop them. And the only way to stop them is with justice, true justice. And that's behind the bars justice. And that's my open. Let me know what you think on my Facebook and Twitter, #JudgeJeanine.
Now, it really undercuts your authoritarian call for traitors to be thrown in jail when you end it by asking people to like you on Facebook. You never saw Stalin get on TV and say, "We will crush the opposition and root out the traitors among us." And as always, please remember, like and subscribe. You know not to just like, subscribe to. So it's been almost 2 weeks since Mueller's report was delivered, and in that time, the question on everyone's mind has been, how would Trump respond? Would this strengthen him politically? What message would he focus on? And now we have the answer. As we learned at a rally last week, and again at a speech last night, Trump has decided to spend the rest of his presidency doing impressions of windmills.
If Hillary got in, you wouldn't have that stat, I can tell you right now. You'd be doing windmills. Wing. Hillary wanted to put up wind. If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, congratulations. Your house just went down 75% in value. And they say the noise causes cancer. You tell me that one, okay?
So many questions. First, the idea that noise from windmills causes cancer is insane, but second, why does his impression keep changing? You know cats, they're either like meow or woof, 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 woof. But Trump's riff on cancer-causing windmills was only the beginning. He also told the Republicans in attendance they should be more careful about voter fraud, which is non-existent. In fact, the most prominent case of election fraud in 2018 was committed by a Republican in North Carolina, but Trump kept insisting that something was going on.
We're going to watch those vote tallies. You know, I keep hearing about the election and the various counting measures that they have. There were a lot of close elections that they seemed to, every single one of them went Democrat. If it was close, they say the Democrat, well, there's something going on, fella. You got to be a little bit more paranoid than you are, okay?
More paranoid? You already think windmills are causing cancer. The only way you could be more paranoid is if you thought the windmills were committing voter fraud. The windmills, they're wearing disguises and they're voting, folks. Oh, they're voting. I saw one in a polling booth. Big hat, mustache. In fact, Trump also expressed concern in that same speech that his remarks would get out to the press. Trump was talking about something incomprehensible that's honestly not even worth explaining. The important part is the end of the clip.
They put names in, you pick a name. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to announce so-and-so. I don't want to use names because I'll get in trouble because it's always somebody's going to leak this whole damn speech to the media.
Leak it to the media. You're on TV. Do you not see the cameras? Do you not see the cameras? I can't believe I have to say, you should be more paranoid. You're the president of the United States, and you're on television. We can all see you. You're like a guy live streaming himself on Facebook, screaming, "I'm being watched." I mean, I'm worried somebody's gonna leak this and he's gonna see it. In fact, Trump was so afraid to use names that when he went after Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who proposed the Green New Deal, he referred to her by her previous job instead of her current one.
The Green New Deal, done by a young bartender, 29 years old. A young bartender.
All right, first of all, she's a member of Congress and her name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We call you, we call you Mr. President, not crazy windmill cancer guy. Second, so what if she was a bartender? We need more working people and women of color in politics. Right now, every Senate hearing looks like a Clint Eastwood movie where a bunch of old guys decide to pull one last heist. Whether you agree with the details or not, AOC has an ambitious plan to deal with an existential threat to the planet, and she's got everyone talking about climate change. Trump, on the other hand, tried to explain his trade policy last night, especially when it comes to countries that sell us cars, and it made no sense whatsoever.
I said, if you don't do this, we're going to tariff every product coming out of your country at 25%. And every time I had a problem, I would just take, especially cars. I had a little plastic car on my desk. And I'd have the leaders come over, and I'd just take the car out, put it on the front of the desk. They say, okay, we agree.
I do not believe that story. You take out a little plastic. How does that even work? Mr. President, we have a trade deficit of $800 billion. Counterpoint. And while Trump rambles about windmills and attacks the Green New Deal, the Democratic primary, on the other hand, has been very policy-focused. The candidates are talking about everything from climate change to health care to voting rights. In fact, today, Senator Elizabeth Warren unveiled a bill to make it easier to jail executives for company abuses. And when she was asked at a recent town hall about her plans to increase taxes on the wealthiest Americans, she could not contain her excitement.
Thank you, Senator Warren, for being here. How do you plan to make sure the extremely rich pay their fair taxes?
Whoa!
Damn! She reacted like she just landed a rover on Mars. Elizabeth Warren reacts to taxing the rich the way the rest of us react to a surprise party. Surprise!
Whoa!
She's excited to talk about it because whether you agree with it or not, people want to hear about it. They don't really care that much about Mueller or Russia. In fact, the website 538 found this week that Trump hasn't seen a post-Mueller boost in the polls, in part because the Russia investigation isn't a big priority for voters. Most people have more immediate worries, like whether they have enough gas in the car or can pay their water bill. And tomorrow is the kids' soccer game, and it's their turn to bring
Oranges.
Voters want to hear about stuff like health care and climate change. Trump doesn't have a plan to deal with any of those issues. Instead, he's spending his time rambling about windmills. To get through the next 2 years of this, we're all going to need a really good
Bartender.
This has been A Closer Look.